led by Mayor Christensen.
Let us pray. Father, our heart goes out today for the Charleston community, for the African Methodist Episcopal Church, which was victimized, and their families. That single event which shook our country, dear God, but also stirred us toward a spirit of forgiveness and love and working together as citizens and saying no. No to violence, no to hatred. How refreshing that is. What a great country we have. What a resilient country we have. We pray for that same sense of resilience here in the Dover community. We pray for that same sense of resilience, dear God, as quite frankly, dear God, as we are just quite too partisan at the moment. You know, we just want to see our own points of view, and we're all Americans and we all have opinions, but dear God, we all have to love and bring our country back together and to talk about the real things that are plaguing our country and keeping us apart. And I pray that those will be addressed, that it will truly be addressed. I thank you for the courage, dear God, of the governor of South Carolina, who so courageously said that the flag which represented hatred, which represented oppression, will now be lowered. We're just so thankful for that. Now bless us in the city council meeting today. We have much to talk about. We have much concerns here locally. But let us pause, as always, to know that you love us all individually and that all of Dover's citizens are worthy of dignity and trust, and we're all your creatures. In your name we pray. Amen.
Amen. Just after the Pledge of Allegiance, I would ask you to remain standing.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I would ask for a moment of silence on behalf of the Pepper family. William Pepper is our deputy city solicitor who recently lost his wife. If you please join me in a moment of silence. Thank you. You have before you this evening's agenda. Are there any additions or deletions to the agenda?
Mr. President, if there is not any additions or deletions, I'll make a motion to approve the agenda as presented.
Second.
Motion's been made by Councilman Hutchison, seconded by Councilman Hosfeld to approve the agenda as presented. Is there any discussion? All in favor of the motion signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries unanimously. We now have before us the consent agenda. Those items on the council agenda which are considered routine and non-controversial are marked with an asterisk and will be acted upon by a single roll call vote of council. There will be no separate discussion of these items unless a member of council so requests, in which event the matter shall be removed from the consent agenda and considered a separate item. What is the pleasure of council?
So moved.
Second.
Been moved by Councilman Neal and seconded by Councilman Hutchison to approve the consent agenda. Are there any questions on the motion or discussion? Seeing none, Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Mr. Anderson?
Yes.
Mr. Sedler?
Yes.
Mr. Neal?
Yes.
Mr. Lewis?
Yes.
Mr. Cole?
Yes.
Mr. Hosfeld?
Yes.
Mr. Hare?
Yes.
Mr. Hutchison?
Yes.
Mr. Slavin?
Yes. Motion passes unanimously. Agenda item 2A, Certificate of Recognition for Young Studio. I would invite Mayor Christensen and Eric and Lois Young to the podium and request that the city clerk read the certificate into the record.
Whereas Young Studio of Photography was founded by Ross and Lois Young on Lockerman Street in Dover on August 10, 1953, and has been a fixture in the downtown Dover area ever since. Their son Eric Young joined the family enterprise in 1988 and continued to work in the studio with his mother following the passing of his father in 2014. Whereas, after nearly 62 years of continuous operation in Dover, Young Studio Photography closed its doors on June 15, 2015. And whereas the Youngs took the time and effort to get to know their customers and their specific needs. They spent decades refining their craft and enhancing their skills to provide a full range of traditional and digital photography, using professional developing and processing techniques to ensure a quality product. The fruits of the Youngs' efforts will live on in countless photos that grace the homes of the grateful patrons whose memories they captured. Now therefore, the Mayor and Council of the City of Dover, Delaware do hereby present this certificate of recognition to Young Studio of Photography in acknowledgement of their significant contributions to the community and extend their best wishes to Eric and Lois Young in all future endeavors.
Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Mr. President. 62 years is a long time. And I, being a history buff, know how long 62 years and saw your business develop over those years. It was always great to walk by the window and see the latest pictures of new babies that were born in Dover, new brides, retirement pictures.
Bobby Berglund at age 6.
We don't want to talk about that. I saw that picture. We don't want to talk about that. But you recorded something that was dear and near to all of us, and that's the history of the city of Dover and Dover people. So we thank you for your efforts. We hate to see you go, but times change and people move along. And so I'd like to present on behalf of the Mayor and Council and the citizens of the city of Dover this certificate of recognition for being part of Dover, being part of all of our families for 62 years. And I certainly hope it wasn't my photograph that broke your camera, but it may have been. But we're going to offer you a couple seconds to say your goodbyes and know that we greatly appreciate you and your family.
Mayor, thank you so much.
Eric,
Thank you all, everyone. Thanks.
say something.
No, please.
Well, it's been a great 62 years. I wish we had more time, but things aren't the way they used to be, and in business and in our lives too. I'm getting a little bit not able to do everything I used to do it too, but we appreciate all of this, and yeah, you're in our hearts, and we'll be here. We'll still be here, but we won't be on Lockerman Street. I want to thank you all again. Thank you.
I'm not too good on the fly, though. Anyone who knows or has encountered me will know that I can't say anything in a couple of seconds, so I'm going to try now. This is so heartwarming. I'm kind of choking back the emotions a little bit, and I want to thank absolutely everybody, the city of Dover, and in my heart, my fabulous father and wonderful mother. They embarked on this in 1953, and 11 years later I was born. And some 22 years after that, I joined them, and it's been the best 27 some years that I could have hoped for. I simply walked into this business, and it's blessed to have been so. Times do change, and it's in a way time to say sayonara, but more than anything, thank you, absolutely everyone in Dover for just being so supportive.
Treating us right.
So supportive, treating us
Boy.
right, yeah.
Boy.
So it has been a pleasure. Like she said, we're not going anywhere, but
We'll see you on the street.
see you on the street. That's a good closer, isn't it? Thank you, everybody. God bless you.
Thank you. God bless you.
Agenda item 2B is a certificate of congratulations for the Dover High School boys track and field team. I would invite Coach James Bunchy Solomon, the other coaches and members of the track and field team to join Mayor Christensen at the podium. I would request the city clerk to read the certificate into the record.
Certificate of congratulations presented to the Dover High School boys track and field team for its outstanding performance during the 2015 season, finishing the Henlopen Conference with 13 wins and no losses, winning the Delaware State Invitational, placing second in the Keith Burgess Invitational, and third in the Bishop McNamara Invitational, and capturing the Henlopen Meet and Division I state championships. Christian Adkins, Jaden Adkins, Cameron Allison, Dion Baker, Dorian Baker, Marcus Batson, Corrine Beatty, Carrie Bonelli, Jason Brittingham, Marshall Cappenpin, John Rodell Castro, Tayshawn Chisholm, Breon Dennis, Nigel Drayton, Nicholas Glover, John Goldman, Devin Hageman, Naquan Harris Dukes, DeAndre Hickman, Jameer Hunter, Temple Jefferson, Aaron Johnson, Jawan Jordan, Nikeem Lee, Jeremy Lepore, Devin Laughlin, Riley Maldonado, Xavier Marion, Antoine Matthews, Jordan McCullough, Antoine McDonald, Trayvon Moore, Chidi Nwabaga, Raphael Unquo, Trayvon Robinson, Donovan Rogers, Amir Ross, Rasaki Salawe, Sean Saxton, Adam Spencer, Clarence Spencer, Dorian Sedler, Brandon Walker, Jonathan Waters, Alshon Wheeler, Zaire White, Gavin Williams, Devontae Wilson. The following team members received first team All-State designation: Roderick Brown, Ronald Jones, Kyron Roberts, Darius Taylor, McKeel Young Sanders. The entire team and coaches: James Solomon, State of Delaware Track and Field Coach of the Year 2015, Roger Lilly, Michael Denny, Constance Hayes, James Kilby, Vincent Terenick, Dwayne Wilson, and are commended for their hard work, dedication, and commitment. The City of Dover extends its sincere congratulations.
Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Mr. President. Coach, I didn't tell her what your nickname was. Coach Solomon, on behalf of the city, the mayor and council, we present you with this award, these certificates of congratulations. We are very proud of your accomplishments and of the young gentleman that you have and lady that you have coached. So let us present this to you. Would you like to say something?
On behalf of the Capital School District, Dr. Michael Thomas and his administration, and also Dr. Edney, the former principal at Dover High School, and her administration and faculty and staff, and of course these young men and women who represent the city of Dover, we would like to thank you for this momentous occasion and awards, and I cannot thank you enough, and I'm really grateful that God has given me a chance to make a difference in these young men and women's lives. Thank you.
For the record, Coach, it did say James Solomon here, but if I didn't say Bunchy Solomon, my wife would never let me live it down. So I had to put it in there. Thank you again for all you do.
Can I?
Councilman Hutchison.
No, it's time to go now.
No, you know, I do have to say this. I had the opportunity to watch Coach Solomon grow up. I can't tell you how proud I am of you and the leadership that you brought to Dover High School. To each and every one of you, the team members, thank you for each of all the work that you've done. A long time ago, I was a part of the track team, so I have a huge respect for your accomplishments and what you've done. It just shows you what you can do individually and collectively. God bless all of you, and thank you.
Before I recognize Councilman Sudler, there are a number of parents, I believe, and people trying to take pictures. You're welcome to come down and take the picture in the front here. Councilman Sudler.
And so I just wanted to say, Coach Solomon, I've known you for many years, and you've been a great inspiration in my life, as well as these young men. As a Dover High Senator, go Senator, I want to say great job, guys, and tell Dorian I said have a blessed day.
All right, now no one's to leave. You're all to squish in a little bit. Mr. Mayor, step in and stand next to Coach Solomon so these men and women can get their picture. Thank you again.
Good to see you.
Agenda item 3A is a presentation for the recognition of service for David Truax for the Safety Advisory and Transportation Committee membership from July 2014 through May 2015. I'd invite Mr. Dave Truax to join Mayor Christensen at the podium and request the city clerk to read the certificate into the record.
Certificate of Appreciation presented to David J. Truax for his service as a member of the Safety Advisory and Transportation Committee, July 2014 through May 2015. Your public service, selflessness, and talents have increased the quality of life for the residents of the city of Dover.
Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Mr. President. It was many years ago when one or two, more than that, when a young gentleman came to work in the inspections department, moved to the top of his craft by becoming the city fire marshal, retired, and still came back to serve the city as a member of the Safety Advisory Committee. He is a true Doverian, and he is a true public servant, and I'm proud to say that I know him. And Dave, we'd like to present you with this certificate of recognition, one of many that we have given him, and we'll also let you have the mic.
Well, I get to talk, but that
Yes,
can be
sir.
dangerous.
That's why I'm standing by you.
Thank you very much. Certainly no recognition needed. It greatly appreciated, though. I had a fun and long career with the city of Dover, the 1 or 2 years that I was here. Did a lot, saw a lot, got a chance to do it. And when the opportunity came to sit on the safety committee to, again, give back to the community that I live in, kind of back riding fire trucks with Dover, so I can, God willing, I'm still able to do that, so I can do it that way as well, too. So it was just an opportunity to come back and do that. I do not have to sit on a committee to help. If anybody needs anything, questions, just somebody to bounce something off with from a safety point of view, city clerk has my number, and I will certainly talk to anybody, whether it be a citizen, whether it be council person, anyone, any way I can help to make it as safe as we possibly can. So, thank you.
For your service.
Oh, absolutely. Thank you.
Agenda item 3B is a presentation for the recognition of service for Richard Sneeman for his work on the Services to Seniors Committee from October 2006 through June 2008, and the Utility Committee from May 2004 through May 2015. I would invite Mr. Richard Sneeman and his wife to join Mayor Christensen at the podium.
Behind every great man, there is a great and understanding woman. So on behalf of a grateful city, on behalf of the mayor and council and the citizens of Dover that you have served so aptly, I present both of you with a small token of our appreciation and many thanks for your service to the city. And you also, ma'am. Now you got 3 minutes.
Thank you very much. I've always, since we moved here 25 years ago or so, we really loved Dover. And when asked me to serve on the Leg and Fin Committee initially, I was happy to do it. It was, and I learned a lot. I don't think I gave too much, maybe a little bit. I did have a little history of being in a utility. In my career, I was in a pipeline, natural gas pipeline, all my life, and so I knew a little bit about it, and it was very. I just liked it. It was a great way to get to know these guys, and it was just a privilege to do it, and I'm happy.
Thank you very much for your service.
Okay.
Agenda item number 6, Board of Assessment Appeals Exemption Report for May 28th and June 2nd, 2015. Next, we have item 6A of the Board of Assessment Appeals Exemption Report of May 28th and June 2nd, 2015. The board has recommended denial of the request of the House of Pride, Inc. for properties located at 29, 37, 38, 45, 55, 102, 105, 106, 110, and 115 South New Street, and 16 and 20 North New Street. I would request Mrs. Cheryl Bundick, our tax assessor, to brief us on this matter.
Thank you, Council President Slavin. Item 6A was not added to the consent agenda because of an unfavorable recommendation from the Board of Assessment Appeals to the appellant. The appellants were informed verbally by certified mail of the board's decision, as well that City Council had the final decision. Per the minutes, the board denied the request for exemption for items A1 and A2 because they were vacant lots. Items A3 through A12 were denied by the board because they do not possess the proper licensing and are not engaging in the purpose of the organization. We request that the City Council approve the recommendation of the board to deny the exemption request.
Does council have questions of staff? Councilman Sutherland.
In regards to the requirements that they did not meet from A3, or do believe A3 to A12, what was the main requirement they did not meet?
They do not have the proper licensing for engaging in the organization with the House of Pride. They're supposed to have licensing for alcohol abuse, drug abuse, things like that. And I believe there's a representative here from House of Pride tonight.
Okay. Do you know what license they may have?
I don't know the exact name of it. She might be able to answer that for you.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Could I have the House of Pride?
We have a public hearing coming in.
Okay, thank you.
In just 1 minute. Are there any other questions for Mrs. Bundy? Thank you, Mrs. Bundy.
You're welcome.
I'll now declare the appeal hearing open. Is there anyone present to speak on behalf of the House of Pride? If you could, please come forward and state your name and address for the record.
Good evening. I'm Mary Beth Johnson from the House of Pride. I'm here standing in for Apostle Lott. He's on a mission to Mississippi. To answer his question about the licensing, I've been with the House of Pride for 5 years, volunteer status, and honestly, the only licensing I have ever seen was just a certificate of incorporation. So I totally understand, but I do appreciate them meeting with us from the tax assessor's office. We are still helping the community out, but not in the same capacity that Miss Marion was. We no longer have the program of treatment. Basically, right now, we're just low-income housing. I don't like to call it that, but I don't have another word for it. And really, we're just trying to get the properties back to the way that the city and we expect them to be at. That's where our main focus is right now. And when we do get the properties up to par, we will focus on the men again and the women of the community. We're not trying to disregard them in any way, but right now, we need to know that our houses are in the right condition that they should be in.
Council members have any questions? Councilman Anderson?
Thank you, Mr. President. I thank you for coming out tonight. I have a couple questions now. Now, obviously, with the vacant lots and the like, I'm sure you would agree those are a different category than the ones that are providing services. In the past, has there been a requirement for, to your knowledge, for drug and alcohol rehabilitation licenses?
Not that I am aware of, because we're not really treatment. Marion Harris, as you all well know, has always said that her business was a one of a kind. It didn't match up to any other thing. So honestly, I don't know. I came in as a volunteer. I've been volunteering and working hard and heavy on the houses, and I really don't get into the nuts and bolts of the program and stuff like that. But 106 and 110, we are about to work out, so we're meeting with Habitat for Humanities next Tuesday to work out to offer a donation to them for those lots.
Just to follow up, now with the previous, now is it not true that you are a nonprofit organization?
Yes, sir, we are. We do a lot of outreach, and everything is either donated or comes out of my pocket.
And you're also not making any profits off the rentals, is that correct? You're subsidizing the rentals and trying to get people a second chance?
Yes, sir. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. Right now, we're struggling. I'll be honest with you, we're struggling. The people that come to us are very much in need. We take the risk of taking them in, and we house a lot of different people. We house single mothers. I house 4 or 5 of our residents are actually people that had already graduated from the program and have stayed clean, and they've been living in our area. Right now, we have a couple handicapped couples that we're taking care of, and we're, for the people that we want to stay for the long haul. But the problem is, I understand that street, the city, I understand where they're coming from. They don't want the majority of those to be rentals. So that's why we want to get the houses to satisfaction of the city and not make them rentals, but make them back into a program at one point in the future.
What would be the impact if you lost your appeal?
Basically another deficit added to what we're already going through, and we are struggling. And Marion's been gone now for almost 2 years, and we lost a lot. She had a lot of funding that was closing its doors as she was leaving, and we only get the 1 grant, and everything else is just basically us just pooling our monies together, personal monies.
Thank you. I yield.
Thanks. Councilman Sutton.
Yes, thank you again for coming out. I guess this would be for the city. Since Ms. Harris' idea and program and the conception of this program, have we ever had any licenses on file for that program?
Directed toward staff? Mrs.
Yes,
Townsend,
I guess Ms. Townsend or
There was, for a period of time, a conditional use in place. That conditional use was revoked because of noncompliance with the conditions placed on that conditional use. The city does not license substance abuse providers, so I think in terms of the board's action, and Cheryl can probably better address this, but I was present at the hearing, it was stated by one of the members that in their organization's charter, which is what gives them the nonprofit status, it specifically mentions the substance abuse and recovery. And if they're not performing those, that was the decision of the board, that since they're not performing that function which was listed in their charter, that it should not have the tax exemption. And I don't want to speak for the tax office, but.
Okay, just a follow-up. So to my understanding, the conditional use consists of having the programs of alcohol and drug abuse?
They
Or what was the conditional use they did not meet?
The conditional use was done because they were running an unlicensed substance abuse program in the houses, and they were not meeting any codes for that. So, and it's a residential zone. So the use is not something permitted in a residential zone. They went through a conditional use process to be considered as a philanthropic use within the residential zone. They had that conditional use for a number of years, and we had repeated issues with fire code and property maintenance code violations, and went back to the planning commission, and it was then when the conditional use was revoked.
Thank you very much.
Councilman Neal and then Councilman.
Yeah, my question is, are these homes up to code? And what would happen to them if you pull this? Is there any possibility of a buyer being able to bring it into code if they're not?
Not all of the houses are occupied. I think Mary Beth could probably better.
Correct. 20 right now is not occupied, and we've had it on the market for well over a year. We've had a few people look at it, but that is one that's not going to be savable. Any buyer that comes in to put anything in that, I know they're not going to wish to do that. More than likely, it's going to be demoed. 45, we were probably, I went on vacation in April and came back to some criminals had went inside after we just finished the whole inside except the flooring in the kitchen, and ransacked all the walls. And so we're behind on that again. And the only other one that is empty is 37, and we're about a month away from completing that. It's mostly flooring on that. But all the major things that the city has requested us to do that had to have special contractors come in, they have done. We're just finishing up the beautifications. And just to go back a little bit, really what we offer is what they call an aftercare. And I did bring a gentleman that is involved with the House of Pride. Not only does he is a renter there, he also serves as, because he came to us for help, and now he works full-time with us. He doesn't get paid, he's volunteer full-time, but people like him come back to help serve the community. And, it's kind of like a circle of, dealing with trying to help people out and trying to put them back in the community. I don't want to say as a better person, but a more productive person.
Councilman Hutchison.
My question was answered. Thank you, Mr. President.
Any further questions?
Thank you.
No one else going to come forward to speak on behalf of the House of Pride? Seeing none, I'll declare the appeal hearing closed. What is the pleasure of council?
Move to accept
Councilman
staff's recommendation.
Mr. President, I recommend we follow the staff recommendations of A1 through A12 for denial or request for exemption.
There's a second to the motion?
Second.
Second. Just for clarification purposes, it's the board recommendation, not the staff
Yes.
recommendation. So motion's been duly made by Councilman Hutchison, seconded by Councilman Neal. Is there discussion? Councilman Anderson.
Thank you, Mr. President. I have a concern about the board recommendation. I think that there should be distinguishing between the empty lots, the vacant lots, which are, and allowing the exemption which has existed for decades for the House of Pride to continue to do its work in aftercare. I think that what the board is getting into is micromanaging a nonprofit and trying to tell it how it's doing its job. I don't believe that is the job of the board. It is that's something that we've dealt with in the past and overturned in the past, and I think that is a mistake. I think the efforts that are that the House of Pride is doing is obviously charitable work. It is consistent with the aftercare to keep people clean and sober. It is consistent with helping, even broader, helping others who are handicapped, who need longer-term housing needs. I think that we've asked them a lot over the last couple of years to put in a lot of money to upgrade the properties. That those who were here remember that, and remember how we had a concern that the properties were deteriorating, that they needed to be taken care of. They've done everything we've asked. They are still, they're almost complete in that process, and I think putting more bills on them before everything is complete would really hinder what we're trying to do down at New Street, which is to reclaim it, which is to make these properties look good, be up to code, have the right people in them who will build up the neighborhood. I think this is just counterproductive to those ends. Thank you.
Councilman Sudler.
I would like to have a quick question for the young lady that represents the House of Pride. Do you foresee the program continuing from an alcohol, the initial focus of Marion Harris's vision? Do you see that continuing within the next 3 months?
Maybe 6 months, sir, not 3 months. I can't guarantee 3 months.
Have y'all put together a plan
Yes,
of
they've been-
action?
Yes, sir, they've been working on that. And I apologize for the apostle not being here, but he's a lot better equipped to answer those than I am. I'm basically the property manager and just filling in all the shoes that I can fill in at the time.
So you're saying in 6 months that you would be able to meet the conditional use and be back into its original conception plan of functioning and serving the community in the capacity which you've had in the past?
Yes, sir. I think the conditional use, if I'm not mistaken, Ms. Townsend, is that the, just on the houses that house program individuals, or is that all the houses?
All of the houses. The zone is essentially a single-family residential zone. So to have a use there that is not a single-family residential use
Right.
is not a permitted use in the zone, we were able to categorize it as a conditional use, as being a philanthropic use.
Right.
And so at this point, the only approved use on any of those properties is a single-family residential use.
Yes, and that's exactly who we're serving, because you're, every house that we have right now, the majority of them are apartments with families in them. I only have one or two that have single people. One male lives in one apartment, one male lives in another. And the houses that, one house that we do have, we have 4 individuals living there right now. None of them are relatives. You're allowed up to 5. And these are all aftercare people. And actually, it's, you know, by the end of this week, 3 of them are moving on. And that's a good thing.
Thank you.
Mr. President, I have a question. This is for
Councilman
Ms.
Lewis.
Townsend. Are all these properties up to safety code?
There are, 45 South New Street had been declared dangerous by City Council. We issued a building permit. I know she has mentioned that they were nearly finished their repairs. Our inspection staff have not called in any inspections with our inspection staff, so any repairs that have been made weren't inspected. Again, 20 South New Street, or 20 North New Street is vacant. 37 South New Street is another one where they were supposed to be making renovations. My understanding is renovations have been underway, but they have not called in for any inspections. So, you know, the challenge that we've had with these properties has been when there is code compliance, it has been marginal and short-lived, which is part of the reason we were back several times to the Planning Commission on the issue of the conditional use and why we had to bring at least one, or we've brought several forward as dangerous buildings over the years.
So at this juncture, it would be fair to say that they're pending?
Yes, some of them are occupied and have passed more recent inspections. Others are unoccupied and have not had the inspections necessary to grant them occupancy.
Okay, thank you.
Councilman Neal.
Yes, I presume because they're a 501c3, there are no taxes being paid on these properties. Is that correct?
In 2011, we received a letter from their attorney, Sandra Dean, who was their attorney at that time, and that was part of 2012, stating that they were no longer going to be providing the conditional use, the services for which they had a conditional use, and that they understood that that meant that these properties were no longer tax exempt. And so since that point in time, they have been getting a property tax bill annually.
Have they been paying it?
No. Scott could probably talk better about how far behind they are.
Do you have anything you want to offer?
No, they are delinquent to my knowledge. So at least one of the properties, I believe, the demolition lien has been now added to the tax rolls. But to my knowledge, there's not been significant progress made to remedy the delinquent taxes on at least a majority of the properties.
I'm going to give the opportunity from House of Pride to respond to that.
Real quick, Ms. Townsend, I'm going to bring you the inspection reports because we did have individuals come in and look at the footing at 45, and they did re-inspect that. So I have a report that I will bring to you that they did come.
There was framing and drywall done, that the framing wasn't inspected before it was enclosed.
The individual came out, I think it was last Wednesday, and he asked us to pull up the floorboards so he could look at it again, but that was done. And I'm going to let him come out and look at it again, but it was done. And at 37, that was also done, that they came out and looked at the footing, and we haven't closed those floors up neither. But I do have it at my desk, and I am going to bring it in because I have found that before, that not all of it get filed, but I will bring it back. We did pay taxes this year, but not for this year. We paid taxes this year for last year.
Right.
So I think it was on, you're right, the lien, the demolition did go towards the lien, but
Okay.
this year's taxes are not paid, but we did pay for last year's
All right.
taxes.
Thank you. Councilman Sutton. You can go ahead.
No, I'm okay.
You're okay. Councilman Lewis.
I have a question. How come the taxes haven't been paid?
All right, hang on one second. We have closed the public hearing, so just to be formal here, I'm going to go ahead and reopen the public hearing. Go ask Mr.
Okay.
Lewis, can you ask your question?
Could you explain to me, ma'am, why the taxes haven't been paid?
Sir, other than lack of funds, that's the only thing I can tell you.
Councilman Sutton.
How many years behind in the taxes are you? Are you current all the way up to like this year? This year you haven't paid. Have the rest of the years been paid?
Yes, sir, you only allow, if you go more than, I think it's 2 years, they're going to come get your property.
So basically you just owe for this year.
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
Plus the demolition liens. So whatever demolition liens have been added to the tax roll, they still owe for that.
Let me correct that also. I'm going to be honest. Honestly, the rentals that we have, the taxes are paid. The ones that are not being rented or being used, those are behind.
They're
Consider,
just behind, like in
like
total.
106, 110,
Okay, but like I'm saying, in total for all your units.
2 years.
Okay, thank you.
I'm going to declare the hearing closed. We do have a motion before us. It's been made by Councilman Hutchison and seconded by Councilman Neal to accept the board recommendation for a denial of the request for exemptions. Is there any further discussion? Councilman Anderson.
Thank you, President. I'd also like to point out that we've seen a market change with the change of management. That is, if you notice, the demolitions like were occurring previously, and if you look at the last year, You've seen some very marked change, and the progress has been very good.
Being no further discussion, roll call vote. So Madam Clerk, please call the roll. Just as a refresher, a yes vote would be in support of the board's recommendation of denial of request for the exemptions. A no vote would obviously go against that recommendation.
Mr. Anderson?
No.
Mr. Sudler?
I'm gonna have to say yes.
Mr. Neal?
Yes.
Mr. Lewis?
Yes.
Mr. Cole?
Yes.
Mr. Hosfeld?
Yes.
Mr. Hare?
Yes.
Mr. Hutchison?
Yes.
Mr. Slavin?
Yes, the motion passes 8-1. I now need a motion to accept the report.
So moved. Second.
Motion's been made by Councilman Hare and seconded by Councilman Hosfeld to accept the report. Any discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Motion carries by a vote of 8-1 with Councilman Anderson voting. Agenda item number 7 is the authorization to execute an agreement to perform the comprehensive analysis of police, fire, and EMS services for the city of Dover. I would request our city manager, Koenig, to brief us on this item.
Thank you, Council President. Earlier this year, during the discussion of adding additional officers to the Dover Police Department's authorization, the city manager's office sought assistance with respect to various public safety services in an effort to understand and analyze the needs of the city of Dover. The assistance was sought from a company called the Center for Public Safety Management, LLC. This is the exclusive provider of public safety technical assistance for the International City County Managers Association, which both myself and the assistant city manager are members of. During the discussions regarding this subject matter, I requested a proposal from them, and that proposal is attached in the action form, or attached to the action form. The services, if secured, would perform an analysis of the major functions and outcomes of the department related to public safety. The primary focus would be on the police department, to examine the department's organizational structure, perform gap analysis comparing the as-is state of the department to the best practices of the industry standards, recommending a management framework to ensure accountability, increased efficiency, and improved performance, conducting a data-driven forensic analysis to identify actual workloads, and also to identify and recommend appropriate staffing and deployment levels for every discrete operational and support function within a department. As I said, a majority of the effort will focus on the police department, but the comprehensive analysis does include looks at fire and EMS services, to include comprehensive data analysis, a look at governance and administration of these services, organizational behavior and management processes related to these services, a review of financial resources, both operating and capital resources, a review of programs, including fire suppression, EMS, fire prevention, public education, investigation, technical rescue, hazardous materials, emergency management, and other delivery programs, a review of risk management and the all hazards approach to community protection, and also the ISO accreditation benefit analysis. This is a third-party analysis to be performed by a team of qualified subject matter experts as identified in the proposal, and it's specifically designed to give a local government a thorough and unbiased analysis of their emergency services within their community. Based on the connection to the International City Managers Association and the unique services provided under the proposal, I'm recommending that this proposal be authorized as a sole source procurement, and that we be authorized to begin work on this shortly after July 1. The amount budgeted in the FY16 budget for this service is $100,000. If council gives authorization tonight, we would be prepared to execute an agreement upon final adoption of the FY16 budget, and we expect that work would get underway in early July with a project estimated completion time of 105 to 135 days after execution of the agreement. I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Any members of council have questions? Councilman Lewis.
Mr. Koenig, in your opinion, is there a more economical way of conducting this analysis without paying $100,000?
I believe that you need to secure the services of an unbiased expert. And I've had discussions with this company. The chief has actually seen presentations of one of the experts that's associated with this. And while the chief's not here to actually say the words, we have discussed this as part of the budget presentation and preparation. And we think for the benefit of the community, we need an independent third-party look at this. So in this case, I would say that it would not be in the city's best interest to seek another option.
How about establishing a committee with some local experts? Wouldn't that be more cost-effective?
I don't see any way a committee with local experts could get you a product within 105 and 135 days. I have no...
So are you saying our local experts don't have the expertise?
I'm saying that I was asked to prepare a proposal, and that this is the proposal I'm bringing forth because I believe it to be unbiased in all aspects.
I just think $100,000 for this analysis is kind of high when we're, in a tight budget. But that's my opinion. I have no further questions.
Other questions? Councilman Anderson.
Thank you, President. Mr. Koenig, have you been in contact with any other municipalities that, or gotten any recommendations from other municipalities who have used this this service to study their public safety?
I have not talked directly to the listed entities, but I do know that the city of Annapolis used this company to do a review of certain services, and those reviews are part of the presentations that the Center for Public Safety Service or Public Safety Management includes in their workshops or their webinars. So I have not spoken directly with them, but I do believe that their work product is available through the various cities that they've done business with.
I believe Chief Hall would like to come forward. Because he's not here in his official capacity, I think just to be careful, I entertain a motion to suspend the rules to allow him to come forward.
Second.
It's been moved by Councilman Herron, seconded by Councilman Sutler. Is there any discussion? All in favor of suspending the rules to allow Chief Hall to come forward, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you. Chief Hall.
Excuse my appearance. I just came from work. I have the deputy chief sitting in for me. Basically, I just wanted to state this kind of caught me off guard. I was given a phone call early this morning that it was put on the agenda. So I'm here to just basically state that as the fire chief, I would like to know from Mr. Koenig what the plan is behind this. I understand you have listed several things, but what is the ultimate plan in reference to the fire department?
Chief Hall, there is no predetermined plan going into this. I think they need to review some of the discussions that have happened both at the Ad hoc Financial Committee as well as various discussions with the fire department to include can we economize our dispatching services? Can we deliver services cheaper? Can we partner with other means available to us? So it is not in any way intended to be disrespectful to the department. It is about improving efficiencies and workflow as well as reducing cost if possible, which is exactly what the council has requested on many occasions coming before this body.
So it's a comprehensive review of the fire department. However, we're focusing on the dispatch center, which are city employees.
It will also look at apparatus. It will also look at financing. It will also look at the calls. It will look at your deployment strategies. All of it's in the proposal that was published in the packet.
Okay. Well, on behalf of the Dover Fire Department, Robbins Hose Company, and the fire chief, I do not agree with this review. We did have the ad hoc committee. I was also against that. However, I was assistant chief at the time. The ad hoc committee was similar to this. However, it did not cost $100,000. I will just state that if you take that into consideration, we are volunteers. Thank you.
Thank you, Chief. What is the pleasure of council? Councilman Sutherland.
I have a question for the chief.
For the chief?
Yes, sir.
So what would you recommend, or what do you think might work, just another ad hoc committee, or, I mean, what do you think we could do?
My opinion on the matter is if you have, there's several options. Nobody has contacted me and sat down with me and asked me any questions. So that's one option. And other than that, I don't have any other suggestions at this time, going through the ad hoc, which I've already been through.
Thank you.
Yep. Any other questions? Sorry.
Councilman Lewis.
I don't have a question for the chief, but, well, while you're up here, what would you think about creating a committee that would consist of you guys, the experts, okay, and members of the community, including people with financial background, to be on this committee?
I think that's an option.
Okay.
I do think that's an option.
Thank you.
Thank you, Chief. Councilman Harris.
Okay. If anybody would have taken the time, you speak to the city of Annapolis and they say these people are very professional, very unbiased. They come in and they don't know what's there. They come in and look at it from a neutral point of view. They don't have someone saying, well, you know, you got to do this, and you got this, and you got this. They look at it totally unbiased, and the city of Annapolis was pleased with it. Obviously, there were some people that weren't pleased with the report, but overall, I think they were okay with it. And that's the one thing that's in this review that we directed Mr. Koenig to go forward with, is it's a totally unbiased review. The chief is okay with it. Chief of police is okay with it. And I think that's what we need to have, is an unbiased opinion of everything. We're not local people coming in and saying, well, yeah, we should do this and we should do that. Well, I think we have a fresh set of eyes that don't have any opinions before they get here.
Councilman Hosfeld.
City Manager Koenig, have we looked at it, was it favorable to the city as well as the unions? I mean, was everybody involved in this, or if we've had reviews from Councilman Hare just referred to, some people were happy with it, so that concerns me a little bit with our unions.
Yeah, the strategies that they're talking about, I mean, all these experts understand that a number of cities under police and fire operate in a union environment, so they're aware of the challenges associated with that. This is more about workload application, whether you have the appropriate units, or whether you have them appropriately staffed based on national reviews and stuff. But it also looks at really how your calls come in, how your calls are analyzed, how they're distributed out. So it's a more technical driven discussion than say looking at least in my opinion, looking at like a Bartell formula review. This is actually data driven, and it may mean that they modify schedules, but they also understand that those types of recommendations have to go through a review process with the individual agency. So it's not coming in saying you have to do this. It's coming in saying here's a series of recommendations that will improve your service delivery. So, we've talked at various stages. Social media is a huge improvement in some cases to law enforcement. So are there things that in the social media area we should consider? It'll also look at are there agencies or standards nationwide where we've done things such as the accreditation manager position, we've civilianized that. They may come back with recommendations to civilianize certain positions where they would feel that we would get more money out of a civilianized position or a better bang for our buck out of a civilianized position than out of a uniformed officer, where that officer could be redeployed to an actual position inside law enforcement. So it's that kind of analysis.
But
Councilman Lewis.
Mr. Koenig, haven't we been doing that already?
I do not know the answer to that because that is up to the chief of police and his staff to do. But what I will tell you is that the chief went to a law enforcement seminar and saw this person speak and really understands what the potential impact to our department is. The council, when we authorized 10 additional officers, that's a minimum salary baseline of $500,000 minimum. That doesn't include load for benefits. That doesn't include overtime. That doesn't include uniforms and support for those officers. So to spend, the total study is about $100,000. About 65 to 70 is related to the police department. So to spend 60 to 70 to make sure that we're getting the best out of our $500,000 plus that we've authorized is prudent for the city of Dover.
Councilman Hare and then Councilman Hutchinson.
One thing you should remember, nothing's going to happen with this report. The report's going to be made, it's going to be given to the city manager, he's going to give it to us. We're the ones that are going to decide if we want to, if there's anything in the report that we want to implement, right here's where it'll happen. The report's not going to say you have to do this or you have to do that. So I think everybody should understand that. It's going to give us information, which you can't have enough of information. If you had more information, it would help us during budget time, whatever, but it's information. That's what it is. It's informative from experts.
Councilman Hutchinson.
Mr. President, thank you. I think it's important that everybody keeps in mind when you look at the history of our police department and the fire department, we have an outstanding track record of how well this council and the former council has supported both. There is no question we have an outstanding volunteer fire service and we have an outstanding police department. But our job, as we look towards the future, is to make sure that we're doing the right things today so that we're prepared for the future. And I think that this study is needed. Having been a part of that police department for 25 years, the world's changed. And we have to be able to change too. And it's nice to be able to get a team of experts from the outside coming in with no commitment, no nothing, to look at us, analyze us, and come back with recommendations. As Councilman Hare said, it doesn't mean we have to take it, but we certainly have to, we have an obligation to our citizens to at least look at it.
Councilman Sudler.
This to the manager, Mr. Koenig. With us spending $100,000, do you think that the return on that $100,000 with the information that we're going to receive, whether council goes forward with it or not, with your experience and what you've seen so far with other cities, do you think that it's worth it, your personal opinion?
Look, by spending $100,000 in FY16, if they give us a recommendation that saves us $20,000 a year, we pay for that in 5 years. So that's all they have to do is give us a recommendation that saves $20,000 a year, and we're ahead on the study.
That's what I need to hear. Thank you.
Councilman Anderson.
Are we in order for a motion now, Mr. President?
We are in order for a motion.
Mr. President, I move that we accept the staff recommendation and authorize the city manager to execute an agreement with the Center for Public Safety Management, LLC, to perform a comprehensive analysis of police, fire, and EMS services for the city of Dover. This authorization is, of course, contingent upon the FY 2016 City of Dover operating budget. The execution of this agreement will be finalized after July 1st, 2015.
Second.
Motion's been made by Councilman Anderson and seconded by Councilman Sudler to accept the recommendation of staff. Is there any further discussion on the matter? Councilman Anderson.
Just a quick statement. Mr. President, I definitely understand some skepticism on this matter, and I share some as well. But I am going to go in favor of it because for several reasons. One is fundamentally, the city manager's been saying that for the last 3 years that there are certain areas that we need to look over, that we need to examine, that the internal politics doesn't seem to allow us to get experts who aren't on one side or the other. And some of these matters deal with several $100,000 a year. So if this is what it takes, I'm willing to let the city manager manage, and that's what we pay him to do. And I'm going to, and if all other factors are equal, and I have to flip a coin, I'm going to flip it on that side.
Any other further discussion? Madam Clerk, please call the roll with a reminder that the motion before us is to accept the recommendation of City Manager.
Mr. Anderson?
Yes.
Mr. Sedler?
Yes.
Mr. Neal?
Yes.
Mr. Lewis?
No.
Mr. Cole?
Yes.
Mr. Hosfeld?
Yes.
Mr. Hare?
Yes.
Mr. Hutchison?
Yes.
Mr. Slavin?
Yes, the motion passes 8-1. Now I have agenda item number 9. First reading is offered on proposed ordinance 2015-12, rezoning request for properties located at 35 and 39 North New Street. It is recommended for referral to the Planning Commission on July 20th, 2015, and that a public hearing be set for August 10th, 2015 at 7:30 p.m., at which time the final reading and council action will take place. Copies are available at the entrance of the council chambers or can be obtained from the city clerk's office. The first reading of the rezoning ordinance is for introduction and referral of the amendment only and should not be relied upon as approval of the zoning classification. This is for properties located at 35 and 39 North New Street, owned by Robert and Aaron Barrett and Aaron L. Cooper. Properties are currently zoned RG1, General Residence, and the proposed zoning is RG3, Group Housing. What is the pleasure of council?
Accept staff recommendation.
Second.
I heard a second. Moved by Councilman Hare and seconded by Councilman Cole to accept staff recommendation and refer this to the Planning Commission. That was the intent of your motion?
Yep.
Are there any questions on the motion? All in favor? Oh, I'm sorry. Councilman Neal.
Yeah, are we talking about a group home, or are we now talking about, this is New Street again? Is this a group home, or is this for an apartment house? Because new is basically, as I understand, is a single family, right?
Right. This is, the group housing zone is really a townhouse zone. So this would allow the property owner to subdivide into 3 lots instead of 2 and develop townhomes.
Tax-paying homes.
Yes.
Good. Hallelujah.
Are there any further questions on the motion? All in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries 9-0. I will now defer to the city clerk for the introduction of the proposed ordinance in accordance with section 1-9 of the Dover Code. Madam Clerk?
Ordinance number 2015-12, amending the zoning ordinance and zoning map of the city of Dover by changing the zoning designation of properties located at 35 and 39 North New Street. This constitutes the first reading. The final reading is scheduled to take place on August 10th, 2015.
We now have before us agenda item 10A, final reading proposed ordinance 2015-10. The first reading of the proposed ordinance was accomplished during the council meeting of June 8, 2015. Copies are available at the entrance of the council chambers. First, I will entertain a motion to consider the final reading by title only, which is simply to allow the waiving of the reading. A separate motion will be necessary for its adoption. What's
So
the
moved.
pleasure of council? Moved by Councilman Neal.
Second.
Seconded by Councilman Cole. Other questions on the motion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries 9-0. Ordinance 2015-10, notification of tax rate increase over the rolled back tax rate required in accordance with 22 Delaware Code, Section 1105, subsection D. Mr. Koenig.
Thank you. This is the first step in tonight's budget approval process. This ordinance takes the current property tax rate of 33.78 cents per $100 of assessed value. It incorporates the new values for FY16 of $3,103,526,891, and then reverses the calculation or redoes the calculation to create a revenue neutral assessment. In this case, it's called the rollback tax. However, based on the current values, the rollback is actually a roll ahead tax, which would set the rate for rollback at 34.99 cents per $100 of assessed value. And then later we will review the final budget ordinance, which increases the tax rate to required tax rate to 40.5 cents per $100 of assessed value, thus creating a tax increase of 15.7% over the rolled back tax. I'll be happy to answer any questions.
Questions for Mr. Koenig? Councilman Sudler.
With the tax increase, can you equate that to how much the taxpayer would pay per day? Would it be like 45 cents, 35 cents, 30 cents per day?
Mr. Sudler, that is, it's completely dependent on where you live in the city.
Okay.
I have read and had phone conversations. I've read both the letters to the editor in the State News recently, and the people who I was able to ascertain had wrote those letters. Their tax increase in one case amounted to about $48.68 per year based on the new assessment, which is roughly 13 cents a day. One of those other ones was written by somebody who actually will see a tax decrease because their assessed value went down a fair amount. So their decrease in taxes was roughly $53.16 per year. I've had discussions on the phone with a resident that came before the microphone. I believe he was from Woodcrest, and I think the number was roughly an impact of $90 a year to him. I've talked to at least one person on Pine Valley Road whose actually assessed value went up as well as the tax rate, so their impact would have been roughly, I believe it was $290 a year, which is slightly less than $1 a day. And we had done all the calculations associated in the budget presentation with how this may impact residential properties across the city. I have not seen one at this point where it's more than $1 a day impact that I know of. Many were less than that. There is an impact to the business community because on average, their assessments went up across the city. So the impact would be proportionately related to that. So when you ask what is the impact, we actually have to go to the actual property that you're talking about and then do a calculation to give you the specifics. But I know that people are very interested in their new assessed values. We have been very upfront with the proposed tax rate originally of 42 cents. We've been upfront, and the newspapers have carried the revised rate at 40.5 cents per $100 of assessed value. So I think generally people have had the opportunity to call and ask what the impact is to their properties. I can honestly say I don't think anybody is jumping for joy that there's a tax rate increase proposed. But generally, everybody who I've talked to understands the fact that if we don't adjust the rate and maintain the operating and capital plans, that the next assessment, their property may continue to go down, not because of a change of the economy, but a change in the character of their neighborhood.
Thank you very much.
Councilman Hutchison.
Mr. Coney, I understand that the General Assembly is proposing to make cuts in the grant and aid bill as well as transportation fund. Can you tell me what we typically get in grant and aid as well as transportation that we count on?
The current year budget for payment in lieu of taxes, which is part of the grant and aid, Dover is one of 3 jurisdictions that receives payment in lieu of tax from the state. I think the number in rough dollars is about $275,000 for the current fiscal year, and we have proposed it at roughly the same level for next fiscal year, which is FY16 budget. On the issue of other state aid, we have been discussing the issue of municipal street aid. The current year budget, I want to say the number is roughly $665,000. We put it in the FY16 budget, assuming that the state may be splitting a pot of $4 million statewide. That would drop that number to roughly $550,000, I believe. The discussions that we've had with state legislators, as recently, I think, as last week with the mayor, indicated that there was potential that that number could go to 0 as part of the budget discussions at the state. The governor's office proposed municipal street aid at $3 million versus the 4 that we were running our calculation off of. The difference between $3 and $4 million of state aid in that area would be about $165,000 to the city budget. So those components, both pilot and municipal street aid, are a big concern to the city of Dover as we develop the FY16 budget. So we cannot today count on those revenues. One of the other components that was discussed, and you've heard it talked about it at the council level, is the issue of community transportation funds. We have done projects in partnership with various legislators that have included improvements to signage, improvements to roads and sidewalks, improvements to parking areas. But we have also had a partnership with the state legislators where we have moved money from the street program to fund cameras in the downtown area. And the legislators have pledged community transportation funds to basically substitute a road project for us doing that, because their community transportation funds cannot be used for camera projects. So all of those funds are at risk for FY16 from the most recent discussions with Senator Bushweller and Representative Carson and I believe Representative Bennett. So those are question marks right now in the city budget for the FY16 budget year. We're hopeful that none of those revenues will get cut, but we're very conscious of the fact that they very well could be cut in the next 8 days as the legislature deliberates their final state budget.
Other questions of staff? Councilman Lewis.
Mr. Koenig, does the city have a backup plan if they are cut?
If they are cut, I will be back to you saying how we're going to close the gap, and that will likely mean operating costs, capital projects, vehicles, all those types of things, and then we'd go to the next step of do we have to freeze positions if, in fact, those revenues are non-existent after July 1. We would have to come back to council to, we'd either come back on the council floor or do it through memorandum to council to tell you how we would close that gap.
So you do have an alternate plan?
We would always have an alternate plan.
Other questions for staff? What is the pleasure of council?
I think it's a question.
Councilman Anderson.
Thank you. Quick question, Mr. President. Mr. Koenig, how much does it cost us to give the pay increases to those making $85,000 and above?
The motion that we had, are you referring to the motion? The final motion on council was 2% of base pay bonus to non-bargaining above $75,000. Is that the number you're looking for?
Okay. How much does that that particular portion cost?
If I could add, just for clarification purposes, how many people that represents out of a total workforce?
Yeah, I'm going to need a minute to answer that.
While he's looking that up, Mr. President, for the sake of discussion, we can't do any budget amendments unless the budget is actually on the floor. I move adoption of ordinance 2015-11, the city budget.
We're on 2015-10.
Are we still at 10?
Still on 10.
Okay, yeah, that's okay. Withdraw that motion.
As this item is related to the budget and not necessarily directly linked to the tax rate, we could entertain a motion to set the tax rate as recommended.
So moved. Second.
Been moved by Councilman Hosfeld, seconded by Councilman Cole to set the rollback rate at .3499 and the new rate at .405. Questions, Councilman Hare?
Are we just voting on the rollback rate or voting on the new tax rate, which means we're accepting the budget?
Budget votes come in two forms. One is the revenue side and the other is the expense side. This is the revenue side. Councilman Anderson.
Thank you, President. Since the exact rate's going to be determined by the spending side, I would move that we defer 2015-10 until after we vote on 2015-11.
Second that.
Motion's been made by Councilman Anderson, seconded by Councilman Hare to defer 2015-10 until after the discussion on 2015-11. Any questions on the motion? Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Mr. Anderson?
Yes.
Mr. Sadler?
Yes.
Mr. Neal?
Yes.
Mr. Lewis?
Yes.
Mr. Cole?
Yes.
Mr. Hosfeld?
Yes.
Mr. Hare?
Yes.
Mr. Hutchison?
Yes, motion passes 9-0. We now have item 10B before us from the agenda, final reading of the proposed ordinance 2015-11. The first reading of the proposed ordinance was accomplished during the council meeting of June 8, 2015. Copies are available at the entrance of the council chambers. First, I will entertain a motion to consider the final reading by title only, which allows the waiving of the reading. A separate motion will be necessary for its adoption. What's the pleasure of council?
So moved.
Second.
Moved by Councilman Neal and seconded by Councilman Anderson to allow the introduction by name only. Any questions on the motion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries 9-0. Ordinance 2015-11, 2015/2016 City of Dover Budget Ordinances. Mr. Koenig.
Thank you. Before I introduce that, the answer to the question, I believe it was Mr. Anderson, is the total value of the bonuses for $75,000 and over was an FY16 value of $29,300, and it affects 15 people in the workforce.
Thank you.
With that being said, I'd like to give just a brief overview of the budget. This has been distributed to council members, I believe in general terms. As I said on the floor, the drafting of the FY16 operating and capital budget for the city of Dover has been a significant challenge for staff, as well as the people who attended, I believe, and also the council members who participated in more than 15 hours of discussion. The FY16 City of Dover budget highlights include the original draft budget totaled approximately $137,071,000 across all funds. After the budget deliberations, that number was revised down to roughly $136,520,000. The original draft general fund budget was approximately $41,830,000. After the budget review, that number was decreased to $41,327,100. A large driver in our component of the budget is the number of full-time equivalents in our workforce. The full-time equivalent proposed increase was from 347 to 361, a net gain of 14 positions. However, this number was revised during the council deliberations down to 360 positions, which would be a net gain of 13 positions. Part-time position increased from 78 to 93. This includes a number of police cadets. There's some library staff that's been added. There are part-timers that are listed related to our Comcast broadcast. So the number of part-timers increased a net of 15 for the proposed budget. The major drivers of the general fund really relate, in most cases, to significant increases in public safety. We did include in the budget deliberation and the budget request the 10 additional officers on the uniform police side. There was also an increase in police civilians over the last year related to the civilianization of the sex offender officer registry, or the sex offender officers, as well as an increase in civilians related to the police accreditation and crime analyst and police accreditation position. Budget authorization includes one proposed planner to support the downtown development district efforts and our designation as one of the current 3 downtown development district within the state. The proposed budget includes operational increased spending for the fire department in the amount of $51,400. The draft budget maintains a strong project and equipment capital investment plan, including $1 million in annual road maintenance and repairs. And it also includes a significant increase in our healthcare cost across the workforce of approximately 16.84%. All water, sewer, and electric funds maintained a robust capital improvements plan as we outlined in the budget deliberations. During the council review of the budget, there was a reduction of total expenses by approximately $944,000. This altered the proposed tax rate from 42 cents per $100 of assessed value to 40.5 cents per $100 of assessed value. The reduction of the proposed tax rate and the required intra-fund transfers reduced projected revenue by $757,800. In short, the proposed tax increase was roughly 24.3%. The budget deliberations reduced that tax rate increase, the total tax rate increase, not the rollback rate increase, the total tax rate increase to 19.9 cents, or 19.9%, based on taking the value or the tax rate from 33.78 cents to 40.5 cents. The proposed FY16 budget does not include any increases for rates related to the water utility or the sewer utility, and this is because of the benefits of the Garrison Energy Center project coming online, and the expected revenue from that project has required us not to raise rates this year. It has, in addition to that, allowed us to accelerate the additional transfer from the water and sewer utility up to the $850,000 as was identified in the committee meetings earlier tonight. There is a proposed electric rate increase across all classifications by approximately 3%. This is based on a detailed cost of service study that we do with our consultant, Burns & McDonnell, to accurately apply expenses related to costs in each classification so that industrial customers are not subsidizing the residential rate, and residential customers are not subsidizing other rate classifications. So the cost of service study is designed to appropriately allocate costs across the various rate classifications. So to distort that creates a very difficult rate structure to defend if we are required to defend that rate structure through our customers. The across-the-board increase, if you look at the actual numbers in the budget, the residential numbers are slightly less than some of the other commercial numbers. So on the low side, it's roughly 2.2 to 2.4% increase overall, and it goes as high as about 3.6% for certain electric, industrial, or commercial classifications. However, as I said, that is really being driven by the cost to serve those customers. It's not a distorted cost in the model. The city, through the budget, has continued to adhere to its financial policies to fulfill our fiduciary responsibilities to our bondholders, our taxpayers, and our employees, while maintaining a strong public safety presence, service quality, and quality of life programs that we feel benefit everyone in the city. As I said, this was a very difficult and sometimes contentious budget to prepare. It is a compromise budget. It is not the budget I think that any one person in this room would design if they had the sole authority to do that. So it is a compromise amongst 9 members of council, the staff, the mayor, and the people who came to the microphone and spoke on behalf of either programs or staff or projects that they would like to see in the budget. So from the staff standpoint and on behalf of my office, I would like to thank the staff who's participated in this. This is a budget that we believe is necessary to maintain the quality of life in the city of Dover. It is never friendly when we're asking to raise taxes or rates, but we feel that through the entire budget deliberation, we have been upfront in saying that there have been a number of costs that have been pushing us. We have been behind in infrastructure. Those programs are starting to catch up, but the fact of the matter is that paving roads, building any projects, replacing water lines, upgrading electric plants or electric lines are all very expensive, and in some cases require multi-million dollars of spending. So there was a lot of thought that went into this budget. I would be happy to answer any individual questions you may have or discuss any things that you feel I may have left out in the overall umbrella discussion about what's in the budget.
Thank you, Mr. Koenig. Councilman Sutherland.
Thank you for your work, Mr. Koenig, City Manager Koenig. Do you think that if we went back into the budget and cut a little bit further, how much further down could we bring the percentage percent from $100 realistically?
Yeah, Councilman Sudler, I believe from a managerial standpoint that the council, when they made the motions regarding the draft budget, cut where appropriate. In the 5-year forecasting, I think everybody sees that if we don't maintain a roughly 40.5-cent tax rate, that we may be back here asking for additional increases. So while there may be some short-term benefit by adjusting that rate, that short-term may end up only being 12 months or 24 months. We are still optimistic in the sense that we're hopeful that the city economy will turn around And as I said before, a lot of our local budget is driven by the construction market. But my fear in answering your question is, if you were to try to save or shave another penny off and the state revenues do not come forward, then we would really be in a difficult position. And I would tell you that we probably would not be able to send officers to the academy, or my recommendation would not be to send officers to the academy, or would be to defer some major public improvements like road work or vehicle purchases. And that puts us right back in the position where we're trying to catch up, because a lot of these costs don't escape us by putting them off another year. So if we wait another year to pave a road, the cost does not typically go down.
Thank you very much, sir.
Other questions for staff? Councilman Lewis.
Mr. Koenig, do you by any chance have an alternate budget to this?
I did not bring an alternate budget tonight.
Other questions for staff? Councilman Hutchison.
Mr. Coney, I've heard some serious concerns pertaining to the electric rates, especially with our larger users. And I know that you explained it and explained it well. We must come up with an alternative. I support the budget. I know that we have to do this, but we can't continue to do what we're doing.
Yes, look, I'll be the first one to tell you, from a competitiveness standpoint, I'm not happy that we're proposing an increase to our commercial electric rates. Right now, today, the city of Dover has the lowest residential rates in the state. That includes all the municipalities that have municipal utilities. That includes the co-op. That includes Delmarva Power. However, when we get into some of the commercial classifications, we're not nearly as competitive as I think we should be. So one of the things that I think we need to do going forward is work with our larger customers to figure out how can we jointly reduce the peak demands, help them with demand charges, help them with energy efficiency programs, see if they're willing to partner with some of these green energy proposals related to solar or wind or some other aspect of energy management. We are trying to work on an integrated resource plan that may allow projects like battery storage to move forward in the future. But these are long-term things that we need to get together with some of these customers to figure out how do we do it so that it benefits both the city as a utility and and the individual customers. One of the things that we said that we're concerned about is our load profile looks flat, even though we have some businesses that seem to be increasing their demand. Every time a residential house replaces a new AC unit, that new unit is much more efficient than the last unit, so it has the potential to use less power. The dynamics of the electric rate design, the electric system, it's not easy to put your finger on how do we reduce the cost. So it's something that we need to sit down with our experts in the electric utility as well as our customers to figure out how we can reduce those rates. However, based on tonight's discussion, my recommendation would be to increase the rates, and then we'll begin that metric to try and bring forward a plan that can benefit our customers, or specifically our commercial customers, as well as the city, with the overall goal to reduce the commercial rates so that we can attract businesses. The commercial rates, as well as the residential rates, have come down substantially over the last 4 years. So while this is a 3.5% rate increase, I think that they have seen over the last 3 budget years a more than 20% reduction in their electric rates from the higher numbers. So it is a blip up on the radar screen, but it is nowhere near the rates that we were seeing several years ago.
Councilman Anderson.
Thank you, Mr. President. Mr. Koenig, does it concern you that there are certain planned job increases and planned expansions in the industrial side that just seem to be dragging on and some of the complaints brought up, Kraft, Procter & Gamble, others are about the electric rates, which are 25% higher than, for instance, Fedelsburg or other places near us?
Mr. Anderson, I am concerned about that, but I will tell you that some of the businesses that we've talked to are not real sensitive to the electric rate. So it's one of these things where we can't design a budget that addresses the needs of every single customer. Where, as I said, we're very concerned about the electric rates, but I have to tell you that the increase in the transfer from 8 million to 10 million annualized has had an influence on the electric rates. And that action was taken to defer a tax increase last year. So while we're sitting here talking about a 3.5% potential impact, it's not as simple as saying we should do A, B, or C. This is a total city budget. They have to look at the total package. And the fact of the matter is, even if we had a lower cost of electric, we have absolutely no guarantee that those businesses will add jobs. They may make a decision in their best interest to take jobs away, and we're left with whatever the remnants are. So it's difficult to design a budget or a service solely based on the input from the customers in this type of environment, because we use our utilities to fund other operations. So it's a difficult multiple input equation.
Thank you.
What is the pleasure of council? Councilman Neal.
Move for adoption.
I have a question.
Second to the motion. We have a motion to move the adoption of the budget.
Second.
Seconded by Councilman Pohl. Question, Councilman Hare.
Couple of things. One, I think we're going to have, and if council chose to change it for this year, about $600,000 carryover from last year's budget that goes into that we put into the unfunded liabilities.
Per the council policies, yes.
Yeah,
That's
so
what.
If is something that if it was suspended for a year to help offset some of the increase. And the other thing, if we were to put a freeze on just on hiring that new electric position that you talked about until we get some more definitive information of what we're going to do in the electric area, that would be $150,000 right there. So that's right there would be two things.
Can I respond to that?
Yes, please.
If we were to take the $600,000 of projected savings from the current year and move it forward, it would violate the policies that council has guided us to develop the operating budget. It was very specific in they want current revenues to equal current expenses. And that budget technique of moving money forward is one of the reasons why we're in a difficult position now, where we did not fund the unfunded liabilities for many years. We have people that are angry that they're concerned that those liabilities aren't funded. We've made a lot of headway over the last few years in funding those bad positions, in my opinion. And it wouldn't be prudent to keep changing the game on us, in my opinion, because we agreed that's how we were going to prepare the budget. The assistant generation manager position is in the budget for half a year. There was a motion earlier that I believe, tends to handicap my ability to recruit that position, because now I have to come back to council to ask for it. And the fact of the matter is that the impact to the electric fund for half a year is roughly at most $75,000, which doesn't eliminate at all the proposed rate increase. And if we're truly serious about working with our best customers or our largest customers, then that technical expertise really needs to be on board so that we can design improvements, rates, policies that would create the partnership to help reduce those rates in the long term. The assistant general manager position that we're talking about at the power plant is proposed to be there to protect our interest in a facility that basically has hundreds of millions of dollars of value to us, even today. That it has a potential output every year of millions of dollars. So the value to the system every year is I don't know, I think we said $8 million. So over a 10-year period, that equates to $80 million. And the fact of the matter is that we are in a position where we have to think about succession planning. We have to think about the protection of the utility for the long run. As we said earlier tonight, we've been in the electric business, and probably the generation business, since roughly 1900. And the fact that we own generation acts as a physical hedge to help keep the cost of power that we're buying lower than it would be if we don't have those assets. So the experts that work for me are telling me that it's prudent for us to take a preemptive approach to this and request the hiring of the assistant generation manager. And that's why the budget was proposed as it was. And I think it's a worthwhile position to put in the budget.
So the utility that you're speaking of that's, I believe is 56 or 57 years old now, runs on oil, over the next 5 years is going to be hundreds of millions of dollars of value. But if one of the generators goes down, what's it going to cost?
The plant runs on dual fuel, so it runs on oil if necessary in the wintertime. In the summer, it runs on gas, or it would run on gas if gas were available. So it's already dual fuel. The replacement value, as I said, is probably well over $100 million.
Well over.
So, the economic value of that as an asset is, at least that amount, the replacement value.
So that's going to be coming up then, right?
What is going to be coming up?
Well, I mean, speaking to utility experts, not in this area, question why we even still have a plant that's 56 years old that's we're pouring money into a black hole. Either upgrade it and make it efficient and running like a new Calpine plant, or scrap it, which
it's not
they all say, and they're saying that they've had plants that are 40, 45 years old that they scrap and build new ones or do something, upgrade it or whatever.
Well, it's not technically possible to make our plant as efficient as the brand new Calpine plant. It's technically infeasible to do that. So to make a plant that was that efficient, we would have to build a new plant.
But we're better off just putting millions into this one and keeping it half efficient or, whatever. When we don't know that beyond another year, if the grid's even going to continue to give us that money.
I think we've projected out 5 years, and it's been cash positive for the summation.
Provided the grid continues to give us the $10 million a year, right?
That's based on the best available data, Mr.
But I think during the budget hearings, it was said that you could only guarantee it out a year.
I can only guarantee what we bought.
So when all the new plants like Calpine come online and another one that's being built in Elkton comes online, they're going to continue wanting us to be there. I mean, this is my concern. I mean, are they, aren't they? I mean, they don't want to commit.
So I don't understand your question.
Well, we're looking at signing a new contract with the company to keep our 60-year-old plant available for a 3 or 5 year contract, and we don't even know if every year the grid will continue to give us the money to offset that contract.
We only know based on current history.
That's right. So I'm just saying, I mean, that's a lot of history that, we don't know. I mean, it's like if you had something, never mind.
Other questions? Councilman Lewis.
I don't have a question, but I'd just like to make a statement that may result into a question. I've been on this council now for a little over a month, along with 4 of my other colleagues, and some say it's wrong for us to be hit with this tax burden, but it's our job. That's what we were elected to do. I don't have all the answers, and I don't think any of us here have all the answers. That's why we rely on Mr. Koenig, Ms. Mitchell, Anne Marie Townsend, because they're the experts. You had indicated, Mr. Koenig, that you have an alternate budget. I'm sure in the alternate budget, it takes the tax increase down. What can you tell us about that? I mean,
I did not bring.
Is there anything here? I mean, don't get me wrong. I know we need to increase the manpower for the police. I believe public safety is essential. I know we have to repair the infrastructure. There's other things, though, in this budget that I think we can nickel and dime to get this tax rate down. I mean, help me out here.
I think you are nickeling and diming if you're doing that. And the fact of the matter is that you don't get to a significant change to the tax. It's $300,000 of general fund expense to get 1 penny off the tax rate. And we've sat here, we've presented every divisional budget and given council the opportunity to cut wherever they so chose. And the council authorized the cuts down to 40.5 cents.
What's in your alternate plan?
My alternate plan that I referenced was only related to if the state revenue doesn't come in where we're at, we will have to stop doing a number of
Okay,
things.
so you don't have an alternate plan.
I did not bring an alternate plan tonight. That's what I said a few minutes ago. I did not bring a plan B with me tonight.
I have no further questions at this time. I cannot support an increase of this percentage.
Thank you, Councilman Lewis. We have a motion that's been made by Councilman Neal and seconded by Councilman Cole. Councilman Anderson.
Mr. President, I move to amend the grounds budget, which has increased substantially, to be a level of $1,375,000, which would be a savings of $37,000.
Motion's been made by Councilman Anderson. Amend the grounds budget, is that what I heard you say?
That's correct.
To a level of $1,375,000 for a net savings of $37,000. Is there a second to the motion?
I'll second it.
Motion's been seconded by Councilman Lewis. Discussion, Councilman Sutler.
Having said that, if we did that, how much would that decrease from where we are now if we did that? As far as
How much would that?
Yes.
The grounds division is, I think it's an allocated fund, so it's not all general fund savings.
Okay.
So you're talking $37,000 of total savings? Mrs. Mitchell could go tell us what the breakdown is.
Maybe just over 1/10 of a penny.
That's if it were all general fund.
It's all city money.
But we've had that discussion. 36%. So a little over 1/3 of $37,000 would be saved on it to the general fund. So $14,000 roughly.
Would that greatly impact any of the operational necessities or,
Are you
think
saying,
that-
I mean, I guess my question is, are you saying you don't want us to mow grass in certain places? Are you saying you don't want
That's
us
what
to
I'm
put up
asking.
the
How would it
Christmas
affect?
lights? I'm not sure what $37,000 of impact would do in the grounds budget, because that motion right there is the first time that I've heard that discussion at all.
Okay, I'm just asking. Thank you.
Councilman Hosfeld.
Can I ask the maker of the motion a question?
Yes.
How did we come up with 37,000?
Looking at the increase over last year, $37,000 allows the increase in temporary help, allows the increase in health care, allows the increase in, allows purchases of materials, and small tools, but it basically slows some of those increases down.
So you want to take the 37,000 away and not do that?
That's correct. Well, I mean, it would allow those to happen, and basically, it takes away any increase above that.
Thank you.
That's for them to manage, how, exactly where they want to best allocate it. It still leaves an increase over the previous year.
Seeing no further discussion, Madam Clerk, please call the roll on the amendment. Sorry. Councilman Neal?
Two things hit the paper today. One was a non sequitur cartoon, which every member of the council got. You wanted budget cuts, we got budget cuts. Don't walk, whatever you want to do, you're on your own. Pick up your own trash, and the fire plug has no water in it. The second thing I brought was foreign vessels could aid U.S. Navy. Because of budget cuts, the Marines, if they want to go on shore, are going to have to borrow boats or have foreign countries help us on whatever we do. This is an investment in this city, and there's two things that you can do. First off, if you have an accountant, you believe what they are telling you, what you should do, you don't have to do it. These are accountants that are saying this is what's going to work for us. Number two, if you have ever seen how a mall operates, shopping mall, they have their stores refurbished, fix them up, make them look better so that you can come in. Even restaurants do the same thing. If you are a franchisee for McDonald's, you may be required to do that, to freshen it up and to do it. This budget is an investment in this city. If we can invest in this city, and if we can bring up the values of the homes by doing what we've done tonight, then that's going to raise the evaluation, that's going to raise taxes, that's going to raise, without having the people actually pay higher taxes, because the values are going to go up. I heard something about hotels and what they're paying. Well, guess what? We've got NASCAR, we've got Firefly, we have Big Barrel filling up those hotels. If they're doing better business, yeah, they're going to pay higher taxes. That's the name of the game. At the same time, we want to keep the taxes down for the people here, provide them with the police that'll give them greater security, and again, bring people in. That's why I will oppose this, and I'm going to support the budget as we have it.
Councilman Hare.
And I don't really disagree with Mr. Neal, but I guess he's going to make decisions without all the information. Have all the information, maybe we don't need to raise the taxes, and that's why I won't support it, because I don't have all the information. You don't know if our insurance rates are the best. The mall, when they do all their stuff, I'm sure they don't go 4 years without checking their insurance rates, because someone told them 4 years ago it was okay. So, yeah, business is the same way. Hotels are the same way. I'm sure they do more due diligence. And if something that's not efficient, I'm sure they change it and make sure it's efficient. And they have the information they need to make their decisions. So that's all I'm saying. I don't feel I have the information that needs to make the educated guess to tell the people, oh, sorry, this is the easy way out. Not hard to do.
All right, the motion that is before us has been made and duly seconded to amend the budget with the reduction of $37,000 to the grounds budget. Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Mr. Anderson?
Yes.
Mr. Sudler?
No.
Mr. Neal?
No.
Mr. Lewis?
Yes.
Mr. Cole?
No.
Mr. Hosfeld?
No.
Mr. Hare?
No.
Mr. Hutchison?
No.
No. Motion fails 7-2. We have the original motion for the adoption of the budget that was made by Councilman Neal and seconded by Councilman Cole. Councilman Anderson.
Mr. President, I move that the pay increases with the bonus for those $75,000 and above be removed from the budget, because I think those can be deferred to a supplemental budget when the department heads find more savings to cover them.
Motion's been made by Councilman Anderson,
I'll second it.
seconded by Councilman Lewis. Any discussion?
Yes.
I have Councilman Hosfeld and Councilman Sutton.
Going back to my previous employment status, as the chief of police, I don't know how I would have found the room to chop that budget anymore to give myself a pay raise. That just goes against everything that we should be doing as a supervisor, as a leader, as a city manager, as a department head. So I think that's unfair to ask those who we trust and those who we have hired and put a lot of trust into to do that. That's just not fair. Because ultimately what happens then, we're asking them to sacrifice others or things that should be done, that we should be doing for our employees so that they can get a pay raise. So for that reason, I would not support that.
Councilman Sudler?
How, back to Mr. Konich, the impact.
We said that the impact of $75,000 and above for the bonus was $29,300 in the revised budget.
Thank
And it
you.
affects 15 people.
Thank you.
Further discussion? Mr. Hare?
I don't think the 2% is anything, is wrong. I think where we're wrong is, okay, we approve the 2% now. Next year, we need to, the department heads, the people, as Councilman Hosfeld said, these are the people we put our trust in. Now, you don't cut them, but let them earn their 2% next year. Let's see if they can get it again and more. But let's see if everything's there, but maybe next year it'll be a little different. But I don't think it's right to do that, not blindsided after we've already said it.
Councilman Sudler?
Just one quick statement. I would like to see those individuals who make $75,000 and less to start getting, some type of increase, because I think that when we start increasing for those who are making $75,000, $85,000 or more, and we forget about the individuals who are not making that kind of money, I feel sort of bad.
Mr. Coney, can you
Thank you.
clarify that? for
Yes,
Councilman Sutler?
the non-bargaining employees that are making less than $75,000, the council motion was to do a 3% adjustment to base salary.
Yeah. Thank you. That's right. Thank you.
Any further discussion on the amendments before us? Madam Clerk, please call the roll. The amendment is to remove the pay increases for non-bargaining employees earning over $75,000, which represents 15 people on the workforce, and defer that to a supplemental budget. I'm sorry, it's a bonus, not a pay raise.
Mr. Anderson?
Yes.
Mr. Sudler?
No.
Mr. Neal?
No.
Mr. Lewis?
Yes.
Mr. Cole?
No.
Mr. Hosfeld?
No.
Mr. Hare?
No.
Mr. Hutchison?
No.
Mr. Slavin?
No. Motion fails 7-2. We have before us the original motion for adoption. Seeing no further discussion, Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Mr. Anderson?
No.
Mr. Sudler?
Yes.
Mr. Neal?
Yes.
Mr. Lewis?
No.
Mr. Cole?
Yes.
Mr. Hosfeld?
Yes.
Mr. Hare?
No.
Mr. Hutchison?
Yes.
Mr. Slavin?
Yes, motion passes 6-3. We now go back to the item which was deferred. Bring back motion that was deferred, item 10A on the agenda, which was the proposed ordinance 2015-10, setting the tax rate. We had a motion made by Councilman Hosfeld, seconded by Councilman Cole, to set the rollback rate at .3499 and the new budgeted rate at .405. Is there further discussion? Seeing none, Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Mr. Anderson?
No.
Mr. Sudler?
Yes.
Mr. Neal?
Yes.
Mr. Lewis?
No.
Mr. Cole?
Yes.
Mr. Hosfeld?
Yes.
Mr. Hare?
No.
Mr. Hutchison?
Yes.
Mr. Slavin?
Yes, motion passes 6-3. I think I want to go back. We now have before us the final item on the agenda this evening, council members' announcements, item number 11. Announcements, Councilman Sutherland.
I don't really have an announcement, but I just wanted to say that this has been a learning experience for me. It's been tough when it comes to budget cutting and all that we had to do. Looking at everything that was said today in regards to whether or not you could, get the budget down further, how much it would impact, pretty much was a determining factor in my decision. And I hope that my constituents will understand that I do believe that we've done all we could do to pretty much get down to, to what is reasonable. Thank you.
Thank you. I'll just close with some comments and thank everyone for their work on this budget. That includes staff, especially staff, but also each and every member of council. I appreciate the spirit by which you brought all of your concerns. Mr. Anderson, Mr. Lewis, your concerns tonight are duly noted, and I look forward to working with you on those concerns that you have going forward. Everyone else, I appreciate your concerns brought forward. Mr. Hare, I know you said we took the easy route by raising taxes, but for the record, I want to say I don't think any other member of council used the phrase, "It was easy to raise property taxes." I think you were the only one who used that phrase. I understand where you're coming from, but I didn't say it.
I heard it.
So, well, I'm going on the record as saying there was nothing easy about it in my mind, and I think I speak for a lot of members of council. But in the spirit of civility and in the spirit of our city, thank you all for your work on this budget. We really do appreciate your work, and a special thanks to Mr. Koenig and Mrs. Mitchell for all the work they have done.
Announcement.
Councilman Anderson.
Thank you, Mr. President, and this is actually an announcement. The African American Festival, which is positively Dover, for those who don't know, is for everyone. It's a celebration of culture. It's not something that's exclusive. It's for all people who want to come and enjoy a great time. It's this Saturday at Legislative Mall at 10 p.m. 10 a.m. to 8 p.m. Don't come at 10 p.m. or you'll miss everything. You'll wonder where everybody was. 10 a.m. to 8 p.m. And it'll be a great time, a fun experience. Come out to different parts of it, enjoy the food, the music, and dance, the other entertainment. Thanks.
Thank you, Councilman Anderson. Any further announcements? I will entertain a motion to adjourn for the evening.
So moved.
Moved by Councilman Neal and seconded by Councilman Lewis. All in favor? Thank you. We stand adjourned.